Okay, guys. So again, sorry about that. Just drop the stream. But if you have your questions, go ahead and go ahead and re-add them, because unfortunately, when I restart the app, like all the comments, they got all the questions got taken away. I can look through the comments here on my other screen and answer some of them. But if you want them to be on the screen, go ahead and ask your question again. So Menacing Junior, hopefully that helps. As far as your what you can apply, again, Essential G. Actually, let me do this. Let's go here. I'm gonna give you guys the new link. Edit, copy post URL, and then there. Go here. That's the new link. All right. Yeah, so go there. You guys should start popping in here in a second. All right, cool. So yeah, so Menacing Junior, I'm not sure if you're still here, but again, Essential G would be what I would do now, and then for your for as far as when you start feeding the lawn, I would start with a higher potassium fertilizer like the Stress 12024. So that you can find under Shop and then Lawn Fertilizer, and it would be this guy right here. So this guy right here. So this is what I would use once you decide to start feeding the lawn in March, maybe as late as April. And I'll send you the links to both of those. So again, apologies for the stream dropping, but I will get another window up here and I'll paste this link to you so you can see it. Control room, and there we go. Cool. All right. Well, we're there. We build it while we fly, right? All right. So I'm not sure if you're there, at Menacing. So there's your fertilizer, Stress 12024, and then Essential G you can find here. So hope this helps. All right, guys. Yeah. So drop your questions. It's kind of a reset, and I have to ask the question again as far as our our poll, because I messed with the poll. So now we're gonna have to start the poll again, right? And then for your biostimulants, Menacing Junior, I'm not sure if you're still around. You can get that one here. All right. So, and there we go. Cool. All right, good. Good deal. All right. So next up, we got Lon Talori says, thumbs up. We're back. And then Josh Bronco has a question. He says, how much is your sharpening costing you? I think it's like 110 for each mower. So it's 110 for a sharpen. Now on the True Cut, he's replacing the bed knife and also replacing some bearings. So that one might be a little more expensive, but as far as just a sharpen, it's $110, I believe, Josh. That is what it's going for. That is what it's going for. And actually I'm gonna get another window up here so I can see copy this one and make sure I have it in two places so I can see what's going on. All right. Again, sorry about that, guys and gals, but we'll make it work. Okay, next up is Robert Rainey says, and we're back. We are, right? See, so this is one this is one benefit of the gram, right? Because you guys didn't drop, right? It's on my phone. And all right, so moving on, we got Jason Harrison. He says, on the topic of biostims, did you ever hear back from Miramichi on biospectrum versus growers charge? Also, can you speak generally about biospectrum? Yeah, so I did ask, and if you notice, Jason, they don't specify the makeup of bacteria that are in that, so it's hard to compare the two. I would imagine they're similar, I guess, but I can't say for sure. And again, with biospectrum, what you're getting is you're introducing microbes and you're also introducing microbial food. So you think about the way, like the cycle of how fertilizer works. You apply granular fertilizer, microbes break it down, and they convert the nitrogen into a form that can be taken up by the plant. So as far as like being part of the system, the machine that makes fertilizer work and makes it available for your grass, then like having microbial activity in your soil is very important, which is why introducing organic material is important, because that helps boost the microbial activity. Or you can use a product like biospectrum like this to also do that. Another reason why I like biospectrum as well is whenever you apply fungicides, fungicides are pretty hard on the microbial activity in your soil. So biospectrum or something similar is a good way to help restore that. So yeah, so that's my thing on why biospectrum is part. That's a big reason why it's in the carbon kit. So let me actually, I'm gonna go over here and do a pin comment, and for the folks that are over here, so they can, that are on the old video, and say join this one, so they'll be able to find it. Join this link to resume. There we go. All right, there you go. Leo, I see you you just left a comment, but if you click on that link, you'll be able to jump back in. All right, cool. We are back. All right, so Jacob Madrid says, welcome back, folks. Welcome back, Jacob. And then Don Markulis Thompson says, Ron, when will you start applying foreplay or hydrotane? I usually start that in April timeframe, Don Markulis. So April is when I will start. I don't typically use foreplay. I use hydrotane. So yeah, starting in April and then every 60 days. So April, May, and then again the beginning of June. Even though the folks at the college says, you can do hydrotane every 90 days, I do it every 60. I do it every 2 months. That way I'm always assured that it's in the soil and I'm getting the benefits from it. Because the reason why I start in April, because that gives me the month of April, month of May, and then June, when it really starts to get hot, refresh it so that I'm covered into the hottest part of the year. Good question. And I need to make a note. This is the other stream, DeMarculis Thompson. All right. Good stuff. All right. And 048. All right. Next up is Adam Carter is in the house. Making a note here. All right. Adam Carter's in the house. He says, if you did not have to use the spreader, which one is the best to use? Carbon Pro G, Carbonized PN, or Essential G? In my opinion, Essential G. It's the newer of those three that you just mentioned. So the closest comparison, Carbon Pro G is basically the granular, the prill version of Carbonized PN. If you look at the ingredients of Carbonized PN, it's basically compost and biochar. And then Carbon Pro G is the same thing, compost and biochar, but in a prill form, so you can put it down with a spreader. Essential G is compost, biochar, reclaimed coffee grounds, humate, and silicon. So you can look at like Essential G as like the newer version of those other two. It's really not a fair comparison to pit Essential G against those. Like if you had to compare granular biostimulants, you could say, what's the one from like the one from Anderson's, Humachar. You could compare like Humachar, Carbon Pro G, Carbonized PN, all pretty much in the same family, similar products, and then Essential G is the newer of that, of the granular biostimulants. So if I could only have one, I would use Essential G. Carbonized PN is excellent for top dressing, which is what it's designed for, or for helping to establishing new sod or establishing new like ornamentals, that kind of thing. But for like spreading regularly on your lawn, Essential G is tough to beat. So good question, Adam. And then next up, we got Brian Turner. He says, turned away and I thought I lost my internet. Glad we're back. Yeah, man. Sorry about that. Again, my bad. I zigged when I should have zagged, right? And Menacing Junior, he says, thank you. You are very welcome. Again, sorry, it conked out right whenever I was answering your question. Hopefully you got both. And you know what, Menacing Junior, I gotta, where are my manners? Because you gave that super chat, you are our show sponsor. So let me get you up here. Menacing, make sure I get it right here. Menacing Junior, your name in lights for whatever that means to you. The least I can do, right? After like killing off the stream, after you getting your super chat, getting your question. So again, to recap, Essential G now, and the Stress 12024 is what I would use as far as your opening fertilizer for the season. So if you've not done one, something else to consider too, if you've not done one, Menacing Junior, is look at doing a soil test, because you said it's a new lawn, so I don't know if it's like probably a new property, a new house you're moving into. And knowing like while the Stress 12024 is a great option for opening up the season, you may not want to use that, for the rest of the year, like, April, May, June, all the way through September, October timeframe. So to figure out which fertilizer is the best fit for your soil for regular feeding, you're going to get the answer to that using a soil test. This is literally one of the best, like $30 you'll spend in your lawn care program. I mean, if you buy the one that comes with the tool, the probe tool, it's like $59, but it's a great investment. Or actually, may have gone maybe 65. I have to look here and see. But it's a great investment in your in figuring out your nutrient program, because you think about it. Like, one of the questions, or the question I get more than any other question, believe it or not, even though I've been doing this live stream now coming up on 4 years now, the question I get more often than any other one is, what fertilizer should I use on my lawn? And I always say, you got soil test results you can send to me? And they're like, what's a soil test? I'm like, well, let's talk about that first. So, so the thing is, without having soil test data, nutrient data for your particular lawn, because every lawn is different. Like my soil test data looks different to Alex's, looks different to the one across the street, looks different to my neighbors. So you need to have a soil test with the information, the data for your particular lawn. That's going to pretty much give you the answers to the test. The reason why this is important is, I always use the analogy of like going to a doctor, right? If you were to go to the doctor, say you're not feeling well, you were to go to the doctor, and you walk into the lobby, you fill out your paper, your information, and you say what your symptoms are, feeling tired, lethargic, got headaches, whatever it is. And then you sit down for a while, and then the nurse comes out and hands you a prescription and says, go to your nearest, Publix, CVS, or wherever you want to go, Walgreens, and get this filled. You look at the prescription, you look at her or him, and you'd be like, you're crazy, because you haven't checked my blood pressure. You haven't taken any blood. You haven't done any studies. Like, literally, what information are you basing this prescription on? And as crazy as that sounds for when it comes to our health, people do the same thing with their lawns, like, all the time, like every day of the week and twice on Sunday. You know what I mean? And they wonder why they don't get as good result. So a soil test is literally a study. It's getting you the actual data for the important nutrient levels for your particular lawn. So something to consider doing as well is, if you go to shop and then soil test kits and pH adjustments, if you don't have a way to get the cores, and I'd say this one you only have to buy once, right? Because it comes with both the test kit and one of the probe tools, right? And then after that, all you really need is just the soil test kit. The nice thing about this is that whenever you get your soil test results, they're really easy to understand and really easy to read, and they are saved. So you'll get access to a portal that looks something like this. And if you look at it, your soil test data will look like that. It'll tell you what your macros are at, like your NPK levels are, your micronutrients. It will tell you what your soil pH is, which is an important parameter to track, because it influences the availability of nutrient in your soil. So you have this. The cool thing is that it's saved. It's saved in their online portal. So if you ever want to go back and look at it, a week, a month, a year from now, it's there. And if you do more soil testing, so we say you do one in the spring, then another one in the fall, and you want to compare how your soil is changing over time, you're able to do that. There's like overlay tools and all this kind of stuff. It's all built into here, and it's there's no extra charge for you for doing that. So if you're considering getting a soil test, the one from My Soil is one I highly recommend. They work, they work well, and they're easy to understand. And you get access to that comparison tool that will put you in a good spot as far as tracking how your soil is changing over time. All right. So again, thank you for the super chat. Hopefully that was helpful. Again, apologies for the disconnect. All right. So we have another super chat. Let's see here, from Dwayne Porter. Thanks so much, Dwayne.
Super chat received.
He says, hey, Ron, I am in the Tampa Bay, Florida area. I wanted to start a new area from dirt and plant Bermuda seeds. Should I use pre-emergent? Great question, Dwayne. The answer is no. If your plan is to try and grow Bermuda grass from seed, you would not use pre-emergent. Pre-emergent is going to negatively impact the germination rates that you get from your seeding project. So the two are like mutually exclusive. It's either you're going to grow the lawn from seed, or you're going to use pre-emergent. What I might encourage you to do, and you didn't ask this, is instead of going the seed route, consider installing the new lawn via sod. It is far less headache, less work. You're going to go from literally no lawn to lawn. You get access to some of the newer and improved cultivars like Tiff Tuff, like Tahoma 31. And it's just like, most people don't realize how much work they're signing up for when they try and grow a lawn from seed. So just something to consider. But to answer the question you asked, no, you would not apply pre-emergent and then plan to seed a lawn shortly thereafter. You're not going to get good germination if you were to do that. So thanks for the super chat. I appreciate the love and support, and it's a good question. That's a good one, man. But yeah, I tell you, sod is the way to go, because literally you go from You go from no lawn to lawn, like that, right? You go from no lawn, you snap your fingers, and then you have like grass, and all you have to do is stay off of it, water it. Few weeks, you'll be able to get out there and start mowing it, and life is good. So I would for the in other words, if I'm starting over from scratch, if I were redoing my lawn, I would not take the route of establishing my Bermuda lawn from grass seed. I would go with sod. I would go with either like Tiff Green, or Tahoma 31. Like one of the newer cultivars is finer, prettier color, better cold tolerance. There's all a bunch of reasons to do it. In addition to that, you go from no lawn to lawn literally overnight. So for that reason, your call, but I would encourage you to look at some of the improved cultivars, which are really available in sod form. Okay, next we have Bermuda Dave. Bermuda Dave, he says, "Hey Ron, in the spring, when do you do your first scalp? Do you also recommend verticut?" So I will do my first scalp or thinning out of the lawn, Bermuda Dave, prior to me applying pre-emergent. So if I do it next week, which may or may not happen, depending on if my mower's back or not. I will either I'm going to turf rake the lawn, which is going to help, get debris and trash out of it. I'll mow it after that, and that's gonna help thin things out just a little bit, and then I can apply my pre-emergent. So, a pre-scalp or a thinning out, like scalping your lawn is one way of doing it. Turf raking is another way of doing it. As far as verticutting, I begin verticutting regularly starting the end of May. So May, June, July, like once the Bermuda is really taking off, it's starting to get some heat. That's when I would verticut the lawn. You can also verticut it if you want to use that as a way to thin the lawn out. Like say you don't want to scalp, right? Or you don't have access to a turf rake, and you want to use a verticutter to lightly thin the canopy out. You can do that, but I mean the benefit, or what verticutting is designed for, is whenever the lawn is established, it's growing, and it's starting to thicken up, especially from real mowing, and you want to thin it out. And a gentle way of doing that is with a verticutter. So verticutting in the way that it's really intended to be used is May through September, September timeframe. All right, cool. All right, so next up, good question, Bermuda Dave. Hopefully that was helpful. And next we have Moon Doggy. Moon Doggy's chiming in. And right after Bermuda Dave. So I guess you're a big fan of Bermuda grass with the name being Bermuda Dave, right? It's a safe assumption. All right, next up is Moon Doggy. He says, "Dwayne, no pre-emergent on new sod." I don't think he's even doing sod, Moon Doggy. He's doing seed. Even worse. And to Moon Doggy's point, I didn't address that, but if you're going to be doing sod, 3 months, if it's Bermuda sod, 3 months from the time you did the sod to the time you do any pre-emergent. I wouldn't do it any sooner than that. So if you're going to do pre-emergent, say this, or do the grass installation this spring, then you could do pre-emergent in the fall. And throughout the spring and summer, you're just going to control weeds with a post-emergent herbicide like Celsius or Certainty, depending on what you got going on in your lawn. So you can still use herbicides. You just can't use, or it's just not advised to use pre-emergent on a brand new lawn. So you would, to recap, Dwayne, you would install the new sod, or if you're up for pain, grass, you try and grow it from seed, and you would do no pre-emergent this spring. And once the lawn is established, you're mowing it, you have weeds in your lawn, because you probably are going to have some weeds. You can control those with, you're in Tampa, so you can control those with Celsius for your broadleaves, or with Certainty for your sedges. All right, and that's gonna help you keep the weeds at bay or under control, manageable, until the fall rolls around, and at that point you could do your fall pre-emergent. I recommend Spectacle Flow because it's, in my opinion, the best as a fall pre-emergent. So thanks for that. Great question. Appreciate the question. All right, so we have a question here from Cup, another super chat.
Super chat
He says,
received.
Ron, do you do consultations? What is the absolute best fertilizer and weed killer for Emerald Zoysia? I'm in the Atlanta metro area. The closest thing that I do to consultations, Cup, is the Golf Course Lawn Academy. So if you join our paid course, you get access to the private Facebook group. And I spend like far more time in there than I do like responding to emails or YouTube comments. So as far as getting more closer to one-on-one, help, that's really the way to do it. You know what I mean? The academy, again, it is a paid course. You buy it one time. If you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store and then go to Lawn Academy and then course details, for the low price of $179.97, you'll gain access to the course material. You get access to the annual application calendar, which was just recently updated for 2024. You get access to the private Facebook group, which is really cool. You get like Robert Rainey, some other cool cats are in there hanging out, and really really smart guys that help each other out. And then if you had questions about something that's not covered in the course, not covered in any of the content, and you just wanted my feedback on it, that's going to be the fastest and easiest way to get access to me directly. To answer your question, as far as what is the absolute best fertilizer and weed killer for Emerald Zoysia, you're going to hate my answer, but the most correct answer is it depends, right? If let's say you have a soil that is not deficient of phosphorus, right? So you got enough phosphorus in the soil, so where you're only really introducing nitrogen and potassium. And if this all sounds like Greek to you, then it's a great reason to join the academy, because there's a course, there's a module in there that talks all about this stuff in very simple forms, and you'll become an expert. You'll learn everything you need to know and nothing you don't really need to know. So the fertilizer that I am a fan of for zoysia, for pretty much all grass types, assuming you're not phosphorus deficient, is Humic Max. So I'll show you that. If you go to shop and then lawn fertilizer, you can tell it's my favorite because it is literally the first one listed on the store, if it will load. So there we go. So Humic Max, this is the reason why I'm such a big fan of this, and this was the first fertilizer that we were able to carry from Lebanon Turf, is because while it contains 16% nitrogen and 8% potassium, so it's a great for boosting your macronutrient levels, it also contains right at 9% humic acid. So it's like applying a fertilizer, it's like a fertilizer and a biostimulant in one product. So this is what I use on my lawn like throughout the entire season. So I will start out with a higher potassium fertilizer. So I'll show you, you want to see my stack. You want to learn like how Ron's going to be feeding his lawn this year. This is how I do it. So the first fertilizer that will go on my lawn this year, the first granular will be this, the 12024, which is a higher potassium fertilizer. I like that as a way to start the season. And then I will switch to Humic Max, and I will run this every single month up until September, October timeframe, depending on what temperatures are doing. So really these two are my staples. This one is the beginning of the season and the end of the season, and in between is Humic Max. And then as far as what else I work with it, so it's kind of a complicated question, but as far as other things that I use along with the granular is I spray the Golf Course Lawn Carbon Kit. Again, if you are interested in this, I've got a blog post. Actually, I can find that for you real quick, that talks about the spoon feeding program that I use. I think it's on the third page now. We've been publishing a bunch of stuff. Here we go. Yep, this one here. So this blog post pretty much covers what I do for my feeding program and also what I teach in the Golf Course Lawn Academy. So the TLDR, too long didn't read, is Humic Max is your granular to do the heavy lifting, and then you will use a liquid fertilizer twice per month. So the granular at the beginning of the month, and then liquids beginning of the month, and again in the middle of the month, and that's stacked with growth regulator and a few other things to produce an awesome result. So if you are interested, I will link this to you, Cup. So that answers question part of question one. If you want the absolute best answer, because all of this is caveated on have a phosphorus deficiency. So your question might be to me now is, well, how do I know if I have a phosphorus deficiency or not? I'm glad you asked. The way you'll know is if you do a soil test. Literally, you have to do this. If you just did it one time, it would more than pay for itself. I'm a fan of soil testing beginning of the year, at the end of the year, but if you did one like right now, now's a great time of year to do it, it's going to tell you exactly what nutrient deficiencies you have in your soil, and you're going to be able to figure out, of these granular fertilizers, right, of these guys, which one is the best fit. So if you had a phosphorus deficiency, then instead of using Humic Max, the complete 14-7-14 would be a better fit. But we don't know the answer to that because I don't have your soil test data, right? So where you can find our soil test kits are here. If you go to shop, And the soil test kits and pH adjustments, you have your choice. You can get the Pro Pack, which contains 2 soil test kits, and the Probe, the starter pack, which is 1 soil test kit in the Probe, or just the soil test kit by itself if you already have a way to get like cores out of your lawn. So it really depends on which way you want to go. But this is going to be your jam thing. This is where I would spend some time, at least the beginning of the season, to get the best answer to the question as far as what is the best fertilizer for your particular lawn. So that's part of the first question that you asked. That's question 1, Cup. And let me send that to you. So soil tests are here, and then fertilizer is, I'll send that to you as well, is here. All right, so the next question you asked me is what is the best weed killer for emerald zoysia? Now, if you're doing things right, hopefully, right? I mean, our need for weed killer should become less and less over time, because we're using pre-emergent, we're mowing properly, we're doing all the things to help to encourage a healthy stand of grass, which is really the best way of keeping weeds at bay. As far as what I would recommend for, I'm trying to walk and chew gum here. I'm trying to send you this, paste you this other thing here real quick. All right. So as far as herbicides that I like for warm season grass, there's a combination that I'm a big fan of, and it's 2 herbicides. One for post-emergence, one is called Celsius, this guy right here, which is a broadleaf herbicide, which, as the name kind of implies what I just said, it's very good for controlling broadleaf weeds, so bigger leaf weeds. So think like spurge, henbit, clover, those types of weeds. It's excellent for that. And then its companion is Certainty, which is good for sedges, Kalinga, Poanua. So the types of the weeds that Celsius doesn't kill, Certainty takes care of. So these 2, believe it or not, you can use them together, and they make a great combination that you can spray when temperatures are cooler, like now, or you can spray it in the summertime when temperatures are hot, and the chances of you injuring your grass with these are much less reduced compared to what you could experience if you were just trying to, say, use like a 3-way when the temperatures are higher. There are really no labeled temperature restrictions for either of these products, which is why I'm just a huge fan of them. So you're talking about the best weed killer to use in emerald zoysia, Celsius and Certainty is what I'm gonna say. As far as where you can find that, if you go to the golf course lawn store, you go to shop, and then weed killer, you will find this kit here, which we have put together to save you time, which has both Celsius, it has Certainty, it has surfactant, which is a product that helps spread the herbicide more evenly over the leaf and helps it also adhere, makes it more sticky. So it's a spreader and a sticker. And then a marker dye, which makes it easier for you to see where you have sprayed. So you get Celsius, Certainty, turf mark, and the spreader sticker. This is everything you need to be able to control weeds in zoysia, Bermuda, St. Augustine, pretty much everything other than Bahia grass is you can use this combination on. And it's enough product that you would, for years. So this one kit, the Celsius will cover 2 acres, so 85,000, 90,000 square feet. And then Certainty will cover 1 acre, so 43,000-ish square feet. So it's plenty of product for a number of years. And that combination is what I use to control weeds on my lawn. Or if anyone says, hey, Ron, I got weeds on my lawn, can you come help me out? And I'm like, sure. That is what I use, because you're able to spray it again over a broad temperature range, and it checks the box, answers the question of how you kill weeds without killing your grass in the process. So hope that helps. Cup, I'll drop that in here for you as well. So herbicides, this is what I would go with: Celsius and Certainty combination. That is, and that's your jam. Between get your soil test kit. Pick your fertilizer, and then you'll be good to go. And as far as if you want more like a more detailed program based on your particular lawn, your particular soil, again, join the academy and join the private Facebook group, and I'll be able to definitely put something more custom together for you if you need that. But yeah, thanks for the super chat. I really do appreciate it, and I think you're the highest super chat, making you our show sponsor. So you may not realize it, but now you get to have your name in lights for whatever that means to you. Thanks for the super chat, sir. Hopefully that was useful to you. All right, next up, find out where I left off now. Hardest part of this whole thing is Leo Garcia. Hey, Leo, you found your way back in, man. Glad the chat helped. He says, hey, Ron, Liquids or granular fertilizer, which is better? Both, both. It's not really, in my opinion, an either or, Leo. The benefits of granular is that um, you're able to put higher amounts of nutrient into the soil, and it tends to last a bit longer. And there's also like if you look at liquids, like there's some combinations that don't tend to not work so well together. Like if you look for a liquid fertilizer that has like a lot, like say 20% N and like high potassium, you don't tend to typically find that in liquid fertilizers because there's issues with mixing that. Whereas with a granular, you have more flexibility over, high nitrogen, low potassium, or high potassium, low nitrogen. You can mix and match any way that you want. And as far as how long it lasts, granular tends to stay in the soil and begin and builds up the nutrient levels in the soil better than liquids do. The benefit of liquids is that the response is faster. So if you were to apply a granular fertilizer, like say Humic Max, right? You would expect to see results in 5 to 7 days after you applied it. If you were to spray a fertilizer like say the 901C carbon kit, 2 to 3 days after you spray it, you're going to see a color response. So liquids work faster, but they don't last as long. Granulars work slower, but they last longer. So what I do is a combination of both. Like the link I just showed, or I just showed above about the spoon feeding program that I teach in the Golf Course Lawn Academy, and also what I do on my lawn, is I use a granular fertilizer at the beginning of each month. So let's just say, in my case, it'll be Humic Max. And then I spray liquids again at the first of the month and again on the 15th of the month. And I do these at low rates. So the amount of nitrogen that goes in the soil from the granular is about half a pound of nitrogen. And then the liquids from each time I spray it is between like a tenth of a pound to like 0.15. So between 0.10 and 0.15 tenths of a pound of nitrogen each time. So that works out to the grass seeing about 7 tenths to 8 tenths of pounds of nitrogen per month, which when you stack that with the biostimulants that I do, I'm able to end up putting less nitrogen, less nutrient into the soil, into the plant, and still get a great result. So what the benefit of that is, whereas with you ever like apply a granular fertilizer to your lawn, and pretty much it's almost like you get nothing, and then green looks really good and nice, and then it falls off, and then in other words, it's not very consistent. By using granular and liquids together, you're able to smooth that out. You're able to get the color and the growth rate stays more consistent if you use liquids and granular. So in my case, I would not say it's not an either or, it's both. It's what I do, it's what I teach, and it's for anyone that's on a live stream on a Wednesday night talking about lawn care, it's unlikely to be too much work for you because you're like one of those people. You're that guy or that gal. If you want to see like how I do that, Leo, this blog post here talks about the spoon feeding program that we do. Spoon feeding program. This one right here. So read that, and it will break down what I'm talking about in more detail. Like I share like the rates that I use and this kind of thing. So it's not either or, it's both. I would not do one or the other. I would do both because there's like good things happen when you use both. Plus, from a standpoint of like, if you think about other things you're doing as well, like think for example, growth regulator, like Primo Max, right? The nice thing about doing what I'm talking about is you're able to spray growth regulator twice per month instead of just once per month. And same thing, you get more consistency in growth. You don't get, the lawn doesn't come out of regulation. There's a lot of benefits to doing both liquids and granular in your feeding program if you have the time to do it. You get a better results, in my opinion. So there you go. All right, next up we have Brian Hall. Brian Hall, we got football chat, football comment. Brian says, hey Ron and everyone in the chat, here in Michigan, the weather is getting better, but still waiting for spring 2024. At least the Detroit, we have the Lions to look forward to. Go Lions, grit. It would be cool, man. Everyone thinks, a lot of my buddies think it's going to be Niners and, I think it's going to be, but people are saying Niners and Baltimore. I'm sorry, Niners and Kansas City. I think it'd be cool to see Baltimore and the Lions. Right? It'd be cool if the Lions could win it all, right? I'm not like a Lions fan or anything, but you think about it. Like this, let me think about it. This year, They got, this is the first they've been in the playoffs in 30 years. Like, I think the early 90s or something like that. So, like, Lord knows what's going to happen again. So they better maximize it, right? You may as well try and go all the way and win the thing. And it can happen, man. Any given Sunday, it could happen. I mean, Baltimore's playing really good football right now, so it's tough to say who, but yeah, I would like to see, even if they don't win it, I would like to see the Lions in the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? I don't really have any dog in the fight. I don't really care, but it'd be cool to see that. See someone new for a change. All right, Colin is up next. C. Pims is in the house. He says, "What's happening, Ron? I'm hoping I don't get a lot of weeds popping up after we just got dumped on with rain this weekend. Probably won't. I'll see if I regret not putting down pre-emergent or not before. Before, I'm not sure what the rest of you are going to say. If you've applied a fall pre-emergent, Colin, you should be fine. I really wouldn't worry about it too much. Should be good to go. I really wouldn't sweat it. No biggie. Nothing to stress yourself over. All right, next up we got Jacob Madrid in the house. He says, happy Wednesday, Ron and Strap Action Gang. Ron, I'm finally seeing some yellowing on the POA that I spayed 3+ weeks ago with certainty. I was losing hope, my man. Yeah, I mean, certainty works. I think last week you were here, Jacob, and you said, what can I use instead of certainty for POA? I'm like, certainty. Like that's what I would use. If you have warm season grass, like this stuff absolutely works. The thing that I would say, and you never answered me if you did it or not, is you really got to use surfactant. You have to use this and this. You have to use both these together to maximize your results. So certainty, the herbicide, and then surfactant helps enhance the performance of the product. And it's been cool this time of year. So I'm sorry it took that long, but the product works is what I'm trying to say. If you spray it at the correct rates, you will get a good result with certainty. It's an excellent herbicide. All right, Brian Hall says, like, subscribe, comment, and share. Yes, please do. Thank you guys. Again, I know we got 81 people back, so it's just kind of nice. Thank you guys for jumping over the new live stream. Hit that like button if you have not as yet. And I will try this again. This time, not cutting off the live stream. I mean, I think it's asking about high to cuts, because in both times, like last week, I forgot to finish the poll, and this time, like the first time in that's the first time I've ever done that in all the years doing the live stream, accidentally ending it, right? Height of cut, are you mowing let's try this again. 2024. Let's try this one more again. Under 0.5 inches. I'm going to say 0.75 inches. And we'll add one more, as high as possible. And there you go. Let's try this one more again, guys. All right. So there's your poll. For the 81 of you, feel free to be part of it. All right. Next up is Mel Maxino. Maxino. He says, Ron, tuning in from Central Texas, planning a pre-scalp of the Safeway 419 end of February and apply prodiamine 65, the water dispersal granule, but scalping and scarifying in mid-March. Will the pre-emergent be less effective, or should I wait to scarify? So here's the thing, Mel. It depends on how you're doing it. The way that I turf rake or scarify the lawn, I set up the tines, the fingers, to where they don't get into the soil. So I set my my outlet up to where that cartridge runs 2 to 4 millimeters above the surface. So really, I'm just in the canopy, just in the grass. If you do that, no, you're not going to have you're not going to negatively impact the pre-emergent. If you're scarifying where you're doing it, in my opinion, incorrectly, where it's set up too aggressively and it's getting into the soil, then yes, that could negatively affect your pre-emergent. So if you're doing it properly, no. If you're doing it incorrectly, yes. But you should be afraid of scarifying or turf raking your lawn regularly. As long as you set the turf rake up to where it's just above the soil surface. You know what I mean? Thing is, to begin the season, if you're really, really concerned about it, like set it up to where it's 6 or 7 millimeters above the surface. You know what I mean? Like just to where you're just using it to clean out debris, but you're not getting anywhere near the soil. And then as the season really gets going and you're mowing more, if you want to bring it down to like that 2 to 4 millimeter above the surface range, then you could do that too. So hope that helps. Good question. No issues with scarifying at all, assuming you're not doing it too aggressively. And then Jonathan Camarado says, secondary like added for the live stream with reboot, right? Yeah, when I'm done, I got to go through and put like a thing on this now, a thumbnail for this one. And sorry, guys. Again, I appreciate you guys coming back over. I apologize for my mistake. So, all right. Next up is Adam Carter. He says, when do you start using the carbon kit and how often do you use it? I start using the carbon kit in March, Adam, and I use it every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks. I spray it every 2 weeks. You can spray it monthly, but I spray it every 2 weeks because it also gets used in my spoon feeding program where I spray on the 1st and the 15th of the month. So, good question. Chris Miller is up next. He says, hey, Ron, planning on spraying pre-emergent this year instead of using granular. Nice. Which flood jet tip do you recommend? I've seen a few different options, not sure which one I should get. Yeah, let me see if I think I get this question enough. I think I actually saved the link here for you. I believe I have it saved here somewhere. Yep, there we go. Saying, I thought I did. I thought I did. And I did. So this one is the white flood jet tip. Chris, it is this guy right here. It will cost you a whole $5.78. Totally breaking the bank. This guy right here, I'll show you. And I'll send you the link to it where you can go right there if you so desire. But this one is the one that I would go with. That guy right there. And I'll send you the link to it now, so you will have it. You know what? I'm gonna do both. I'm gonna hook you up with both of them. I'm gonna give you both the flood jet tip and the foliar spray tip. Chris, I'm gonna get you on both of them. So there you go. So this is the flood jet, and then this is the foliar spray tip. This is the one that I use for pretty much everything else. Oh wait, wrong one. So this one is the flood jet tip. I was pasting to the old chat. So this is the flood jet tip at Chris. There you go. And then this is the foliar tip. I was like, what happened? So there you go. So you got both of them. And then, so yeah, so hopefully that helps, sir. And those two are the ones that you'll primarily use. There is also an air induction tip, but really, I rarely use that one. You never really shouldn't need that. The flood jet or the foliars we really should is what you should need. All right. Let's see. He says, he's asking a question. Are you going to the event in Phoenix he says, hey, are you going to the GCSSA event in Phoenix on the 29th? I will go to the event. No, I am not. I'm not Volante, so no, I probably won't see you there. The only one that I might go to maybe later on this fall is, it's not called GIE anymore, but it used to be called GIE. This year, my plan is to make it. I've been trying to get there the past few years, so this year I'm going to do my best to try and get there. But that one, no, I will not be at. All right, McNasty Motorsports is up next. Says, like button smash and took a moment to touch up the edging around it. I appreciate that, McNasty. You know, the like button can sometimes get a little bit scraggly, so you getting out there and touching up the edge, good thing. I appreciate it. All right, next up is We Showing Our Grass. Lawn Care LLC says, hey, Ron, what is the mix rate per gallon for prodiamine? It depends on your grass type. We Showing Our Grass. For Bermuda grass, for Bermuda grass, zoysia grass, St. Augustine grass, the annual limit is 0.83 ounces, dry ounces per 1,000 square feet. So you can choose to do like 0.80 if you're going like at the higher end, and do that only once, or you could break it up and you could do a split application where you spray like say 0.4 one time and it's 0.4 again, say in April. For cool season grass, it's quite a bit less than that. It equates to like right at 0.20 ounces for each application if you're doing a split app. Like for most grasses, I think for cool season, it's like half an ounce. 0.55 is the annual limit. So if you're doing split apps, you do like 0.2 and then 0.2 again. You know what I mean? So for cool season grass, it's quite a bit lower than it is for warm season grasses. But so the answer to your question, it depends. You didn't tell me what kind of grass you have, but for Bermuda, 0.83 is the annual limit. Call it 0.80. And for cool season, for many cool season grasses, it's like 0.55. But check the label. The label is law. It will tell you exactly for your particular grass type what rate you should be using for prodiamine. Like, actually, I'm gonna pull this up real quick. I might be able to show you what I'm talking about here. Dun, 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 dun. All right, so if we go to here, and I think I've got it here under the, yeah, under the label here. Yep, cool. So if we pull up the prodiamine label, let me find the section. Yep, here we go. So if you, this is the prodiamine label. You can find it here under the Golf Course Lawn Store. Go to the how to use, and then you'll find the label right there. All right. So if you look for Bermuda grass, it's like 0.36 all the way up to 0.83. And then 0.83 being the your annual limit. And then for Kentucky bluegrass, you see 0.55 is there. But it also depends. If you got fescue, it's not quite that high. You got creeping bent grass, not quite that high. So depending on the grass you have, it changes. So read the label. This is going to tell you like how much of the product you can use, for your particular grass type. So hope that helps. We're showing our grass LLC. I will, I'll link here. I'll link to this in the chat for you so you can find it. It's under the how to use section of the product description. There we go. Prodiamine label. All right, cool. So we have another super chat. Let me grab that one really quick. This one is from Fernando in the house. Thank you so much, Fernando.
Super chat.
He says, thanks for all your support. Just applied today the Pillar SC. Awesome, Fernando. Glad to hear that, man. Yes, he was dealing with some disease problems in his lawn. He reached out to me, and I know he got some Pillar SC, so I hooked him up and helped send him some guidance on how to get a good result with it. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that you got it down. And again, Fernando, like I was telling you, is you applied it because you were dealing with an active issue, an active problem in the lawn. Is 21 days after that first application, spray it again. Even though the lawn may look much better, it's, the lawn is looking great, like it's healed up. Still do another application 3 weeks after the first one. So you did it today. So whatever 3 weeks from now is, spray it again. So, but yeah, good stuff, man. Thank you for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. And keep me posted as far as how the lawn develops, how it bounces back from that disease problem you were dealing with. All right, James Smith is in the house. Mr. Half and Half of the Chick-fil-A lemonade. I haven't forgot, James. I haven't forgotten you. He says, Ron, thinning out or full scalp before you pre-emerge. And are you spraying or granular this year? I am spraying, and I am doing I'm just thinning it out. I'm gonna be using the turf rake, James. So I'll be turf raking and then mowing. So it's it is a light scalp, right? Because I'll be lowering the height of cut down a little bit, but I'm not, it's not what I would consider, not what I would consider a full scalp. I'm not going to be taking the lawn down like under half an inch. You see what I'm saying? So I'm going to use a turf rake to get a lot of the debris out. It's also it tends to also lift the grass up and make it tall. And then I will come back with the mower and cut it. And that's going to materially thin the turf out quite a bit to where whenever I go and spray pre-emergent, it will, it's got less grass, less canopy to get past to get into the soil, which is going to help get a better result. And again, I am doing liquids this year. Great question. All right, next up is King Kong. You're saying granular. You have to look at the rate we show in our grass. Same thing. Look at the label. The label will tell you like how many pounds of the product per 1,000 square feet. So it's the same thing. Like the label is going to tell you, or actually tell you use this spreader setting for your, for depending on the product you're using. But it'll also on that label tell you how many pounds of the product per 1,000 square feet to apply, depending on the rate that you're going after. So again, the label is going to tell you that. All right, next up is King Khan. He says, hey, Ron, after you changed out your sprinkler heads, did you see a difference in spray pattern or distance in the spray? Yeah, so you can adjust it. You can adjust how, like the arc, and you can adjust the arc and then also like how much water comes out. So as far as so the arc will adjust how far it throws. And then you can also stop down the, almost like you're blocking off the nozzle a little bit, which will limit like how much water comes out of it. And yes, I did notice a difference compared to the sprinkler heads that were not working. It was much improved, but it was, you're able to tune them to where they overlap lightly. So it's not like if you go from bad irrigation heads to good irrigation heads, you're gonna have a big problem because you're gonna be throwing water too far. It's your job to, once you install the new ones, to tune them, like where they stop and also how far they're throwing to where you get good coverage without wasting water. So good question, King Khan. And yes, I absolutely did. The big thing that I noticed is they just, for me, the heads still would come up and work. What the first thing that breaks on the sprinkler heads for me is they stop rotating. Like that mechanism gets sand in it. Like it just, they'll come up and they'll rotate all the way to one end and just stop, and then they won't come back. So that's when time to replace them. And again, that stems from, in years past when I used to top dress, I would not put like little frisbees or something to cover over the sprinkler heads. Ever since I started doing that, like in the back lawn, I did that the last time the lawn was top dressed, and those sprinkler heads still work great. So the big tip is, if you're going to top dress your lawn and you got irrigation heads in it, get like some of those dog frisbees. They're like made of silicon. They're cheap. They're super cheap to buy on Amazon. Get some of those and drop those over each one of the irrigation heads, and you can literally like top dress over it, put sand over it. There's no issues at all, and it keeps the sand out of the gears, out of the mechanism, and it's gonna make your irrigation heads last a lot longer. So that's a little tip for you if you decide to top dress your lawn this year, or whenever you decide to do it. Protect your sprinkler heads, unless you feel like digging them up and replacing them sooner than you have to. All right, next up is Oliver Rittam. He says, Ron, we need to see a sample picture of your soil after all these years using the carbon products. Curious to see how great it is transformed. Yeah, so, I've got a picture from a couple years ago. It's likely even better now, but I can show you. If you go, where is that? I think it's under Carbonized PN. If you go to shop and then Miracle Green Biostimulants and then Carbonized PN. Yes, I think it's here. So if we move over, this is, so this is my soil profile. This video was shot in, that picture was taken in 2021. So maybe it's 3 years, 2 years, 3 years old at this point. You can see the deeper part, how it's lighter. And then the upper 4 inches there, you see how much darker that is from all the carbon inputs that have been going in the soil, like all the organic material and essential G's been going in the soil over the years. So I think it might be 2022. I think 2022 is when I did. So this picture might be 2 years old, is when I did this. But yeah, that's a picture of the profile. There's some other pictures that I posted, I think, to Instagram last year, whenever I was replacing irrigation heads, and I showed it as well too. So maybe we go look through my Instagram from like last year, and you'll also see pictures of it, see a picture of it there as well too. Let me see if I can find. I might not be able to find them now, but yeah, that's what the soil looks like. That's what my soil profile looks like after years of carbon and granular biostimulant inputs. Now you got me thinking. I mean, this is going to be impossible to find soil profile, and there's so many videos that are going to be that are going to come up from that. But yeah, I believe I posted it on Instagram. Oliver is where it is. I believe that's where I did it, because I took the pictures when I was replacing the irrigation heads. I should still have the pictures on my phone somewhere. So if I can dig them up, I will post them again. How about that? But yeah, that's a picture from a couple years ago. This picture was taken in the back lawn whenever the irrigation head was being done. That is my lawn, and that's the soil from it. Okay, so next we got James Smith. He says, let's see here. By the way, that heavy mix of Spectacle Flow, Brain Fart, 2.5 ounces. Yeah, that's a big difference. 2.5 ounces versus 0.25 seems to have hurt the lawn after getting that carbonized PN, and heavy watering seems to have worked. Update comes spring or summer. Yeah, so for those of you guys who don't know what James is talking about, is the rate, the higher end of the rate for Spectacle Flow is like 0.20 fluid ounces per 1,000 square feet. I believe, I'm not sure if James did this or he had someone else do it, but they sprayed, instead of like 0.2, they sprayed at 2. So like 10 times, 10 times the rate, it's a lot. So you figure instead of doing 0.2 of an ounce, they did like 2 ounces per 1,000 square feet, which is way too much. And it sounds like it's bouncing back. Use carbonized PN like I suggested to you, and then heavy watering. So, but yeah, guys, when it comes to applying products, read the labels twice. Like a good example, like we were looking at that label for prodiamine, right? Like if you look at this, that is 0.36, not 3.6, not 3.6. It's like 0.36. And again, when you get that in a scale, when you get your measuring cup out, like you get one of these guys and you put this on a scale and you zero it and you start pouring the prodiamine in there, you're gonna be like, man, that doesn't seem like a whole lot. There's no way that could actually work. And it's plenty, right? The stuff is highly concentrated. That's why the numbers and the what they give you is so precise. And that's why you need to respect that and use a proper scale, measure it out properly, mix it properly, and then you're gonna get a result. So measure twice, cut once when it comes to that. And this, or in the case of spraying pre-emergent or herbicides or anything really on your lawn, like read the label twice, pour and mix once, so you don't make that that mistake. I'm glad to hear that your lawn recovered though, James. So thanks for letting us know that. Next up is 2 Trilla. He says, "Happy Wednesday, Ron and Stripe Action Gang. Temps in the 60s in Georgia after being in the low 20s. Should I spray my pre-emergent or hold off? It's up to you. The pre-emergent is being sprayed already in my area. I will be spraying mine within the next week or two. So it's really your call. If you want to spray next week or the week after that, that's absolutely fine. No issue at all, 2 Trilla. There's still time, is what I'm trying to say. If as long as you get it down before, say, mid-February, I'd say you're going to be in a good spot. All right, next up is James Smith. He says, "I'm planning on the 007 granular prodiamine this spring and the spoon feeding program." Nice. You will like it, man. The thing is, the beautiful thing about spoon feeding is, in addition to the color and consistency you get from it, it also lines up really well with your ability to use a growth regulator regularly on your lawn. So you're able to use Primo twice per month at reduced rates versus only once per month. So there's a whole lot of benefits to doing it. The only negative is that you have to get out there twice in the month and spray the lawn. But I'm a big fan of it. I mean, I like the results that I get with it. And if you're going to be out there anyway, why not reduce the amount of nutrients you're putting in and just cut it in half and spray it twice? So good stuff. Next up is Tim Borski. He says, "Boo Lions, go Pack go." All right, okay. Well, I mean, here's the thing: I don't have any dog in this fight, so it just depends on which way you want to go. It doesn't really matter. I like to see the Lions just because they've not been in forever. I don't know if they've ever been to the Super Bowl, but it'd be cool just to be able to see someone new for a change. You know what I mean? All right. James Smith says, "Question: full octane Chick-fil-A or water Arnold tonight? Not going to bring up the 50-50. Oops, there again. No, tonight this is an Arnold Palmer tonight. No Chick-fil-A. This is just an Arnold Palmer. It's Milo's Arnold Palmer's what I'm drinking tonight. That's what I am. It's water and Arnold Palmer. So you got it, man. I put about this much water and then that much Arnold Palmer. So I dilute it a little bit because it gets a bit sweet if you drink it straight. So that's how I do it. JC105 says, "Hey, Ron Henry, be careful with that blue dye. No matter how hard I try to not get it on my hands every time." Okay. Do you wear gloves when you spray products on your lawn? Because if you do that, you won't get blue dye or anything else on your hands. So something to keep in mind. You could get, I'll show you. These are what I use right here. I got some right here. You get some of these guys. These are like these are I don't know what mill these are, but these, you can use these for spraying. They come up to your wrist, they'll pass your wrist onto your forearm, and if you use these, you will not get blue dye in your fingers or on your hands at all. It's a good thing to do. So I'd highly recommend investing in some gloves. I mean, worst case, you could use some latex gloves, right? I mean, they're not as good of coverage, but wear gloves, man. Whenever you're out there spraying stuff on your lawn, wear gloves. It's a good idea. Good idea. And then Jacob says, "I use surfactant." Okay, cool. Well, cool. It's working slower this time of year than I guess, Jacob. But I'm glad to see it starting to yellow, which is good. King Khan says, "I don't even try to avoid anymore. I spray some in my hand like an aftershave." What are you guys doing? How are you guys getting like blue dye in your hands whenever you spray? I don't understand it. I don't understand. What are you guys doing that's causing that? That's if you wear gloves, it should not be. I mean, you might get some dye on the gloves, but then you just rinse it off. It shouldn't get all on your body. Shouldn't be a thing. I cannot remember the last time I got blue marker dye actually on me. So, and I spray, quite frequently. So I don't know. You guys, we got to work on your technique. You got to improve the technique, guys. You got to work on the technique. All right. Brian Tanner says, "On mowing height, new to real mowing, it has 5/8, 7/8, and 1 inch. Older mower, since the lawn is not level yet, was above 1.5 inches. Thinking of starting in February with 1 inch and then dropping it from there. Yeah, so what I would say is this, Brian, see what your lawn will tolerate. It sounds like you haven't top dressed it as yet. So, start at whatever the highest is. It sounds like you says 1.5 inches. I'm not sure what your highest is, but say you start at 1.5 inches. And if you do that, there's no scalping, everything looks good. Try dropping it down a little bit and just see how the lawn does. Eventually, you'll reach a point where you start getting into some scalping, and then there hey, my options are: one, raise the height of cut, or two, level the lawn to where I don't, that low area or that high area is no more. So the lawn will tell you what it'll tolerate as you slowly begin stepping the mowing height down. So just something to go at. In other words, I would not decide, hey, I'm going to mow it like 3/4 of an inch on a brand new lawn that it's never been real mowed before and it's never been level, because you might find you just can't pull that off. You know what I mean? So figure out what your particular lawn, based on how smooth it is, it'll tolerate, and just work your way down slowly, and just run it there until you decide to level the lawn, do some top dressing, and then you can drop it down even lower after that, right? All right, and then James Smith says, tip guide: white for soil contact, red for foliage contact. Yep, that's pretty much it. Anything going in the soil, so fungicide, insecticide, pre-emergent herbicides, the white spray tip, liquid fertilizer, post-emergent herbicides like Celsius, Certainty, Tenacity, Sedgehammer, other 3-ways, and Primo, growth regulator. Pretty much anything that needs to get on the plant leaf and dry, then use the fine spray tip, the foliar, the red foliar. All right. Next up is Jared George. He says, Ron, snow is melting on dormant Bermuda. Finally. Anything I should do to help it or watch out for? Also, when is your first PGR app of the year? Nothing really to do, Jared. Just let the snow melt. Let the lawn dry out. As far as my first growth regulator app, it is the end of April, early May. So May 1st, March, whenever I begin putting Primo into my lawn. So yeah. Late April, early May is the first Primo app, and then every 2 weeks after that. Matt Jackson, he says, I am worried about the shady spots. I see bare dirt. Okay, yeah. So if you're seeing, Matt, if you have if it's a Bermuda lawn, you can tell what kind of grass you have, but it's a Bermuda lawn and you have shade and you have bare spots, those two things go hand in hand. So, Bermuda and shade are like ice cream and mayonnaise. They don't really go together, right? So if you have an area that is heavily shaded towards not any direct sunlight coming through it, Bermuda grass just isn't going to do well there. At best, it's going to grow thin, and worst cases, you're going to have areas where it's not going to grow at all. It's going to be bare dirt. So your options are: one, cut the trees back to where you can get some sunlight there and see if that helps, or two, just decide to not grow Bermuda grass there. You could try putting a fescue in or something else. Or just put some ground cover, maybe just turn it into a larger mulch bed or something. I haven't seen the area, but if I've identified already that there's a lot of shade, that is your issue if it's Bermuda grass you're talking about, because those two just do not go together. Bermuda is very sensitive to direct sunlight. So hope that helps. I want you to go out and try and find shade tolerant Bermuda grass seed and be like, oh, it's still not working, because Bermuda and shade is not really a thing. All right. We Sugar Grass says, thanks, Bermuda grass, Northern Mississippi. You are very welcome. All right. Ben Raham says, since the sprinklers were brought up, will there be an update on Alex's install? Is he happy long-term? I think he is. I mean, I've not heard any complaints from him. His irrigation system has been working tip top. So yeah, I can ask him, but I've not heard any negatives about his irrigation system. So I think he's good to go. James Smith says, thinking of installing digital sprinkler in the new house this year. Reminder, I'm all manual. Toolkit setup, greens mower, edging, sweeping, etc. 11,500 square foot lawn. Yeah, so James, there are some things we're having coming into the modern era. I think you will like more. If you're going to be buying an irrigation controller, get one that is connected to that's Wi-Fi enabled, so where you manage it, you set up your programs and your irrigation schedule from your smartphone. It's super handy, and that is the way that I would go. They're not terribly that much more expensive than the ones that don't come with it, and that is worth doing. A lot of people talk about the one called the Ratio 3 or whatever it is. I've never used that one. Mine is one from Hunter. which is the HydroWise, I think it's called, the Hunter HydroWise. That is the irrigation controller that I'm running, and I like it. It works great. The app that they have for it works great too. So that's a big thing too. I don't know how well the ratio, it's probably fine too. I mean, it's not really that complicated, but the HydroWise app works very well. I've not had any issues with it whatsoever on in my use in the couple years that I've been using it. All right, CPIMS is up next. He says, spray the front yard with Roundup before the rain, and it is slowly dying off. Getting the renovation started soon to prep for the past pilum sod going in soon. Just want to have it all done. Nice, nice. You're trying to get the existing lawn all cleaned up, and you're gonna go drop some new sod. See, so whoever it was, I forget your name, whoever it was earlier that was talking about, the choice between seed and sod. I don't even know if past-filling even comes in seed, but sod is like so much easier. I would, unless you got like a really large lawn, and by large I say over 15,000 square feet, I would consider sod. I really would. Once you start getting much like really large properties, that's when seed begins to make a bit more sense. But like sod is for most people is so much less pain, and you're just gonna like the results that you get better. So. He says, so when it shows up, I can just lay it and not have to worry about anything. I like it. Bee Butchers just says, is it too late for pre-emergent? No. Well, it depends. What pre-emergent are you talking about? Fall pre-emergent? Yeah. Spring pre-emergent? No. So to answer your question, I guess in both cases, no. I mean, this time of year, no. I mean, this window, this time of year, you're really thinking about spring pre-emergent. It is not too late for pre-emergent. You still have some time. You still have time. If you're in the Southeast United States, I'd say mid-February. I would try and get it out before mid-February, just so you're ahead of the curve. But I don't know where in the country you are. It is not too late for pre-emergent bee butcher. All right, James Smith says, get some rubber boots to keep that Smurf look off your feet too, to go with the gloves. Yep. So like boots, long pants, long sleeve shirt, gloves, and eye protection. Wear some safety glasses. When you're filling up the sprayer, whatever. I mean, you might get some splashes. It's just good to wear something to protect your eyes. Whenever you're out spraying liquids. Cheap insurance. You only get one set of eyes, right? So you want to take care of them. All right. Next up is Ben Raham. He says, I have serious leveling issues with my Bermuda. Are you opposed to beaching or restraining to patients with multiple top dressings, then max top dressing annually? I am a fan of multiple top dressings versus beaching the lawn. Here's why. If you cover the entire lawn in sand where you can't see anything, a couple things. One, it's going to take longer to recover from top dressing, and two, if you get like a heavy rainfall during that time, you're just going to make a big mess. Like the material is going to move all over the place. You're going to be out there raking it and trying to get it back where it needs to be. So I am a fan of multiple top dressings in the same season versus trying to do it all super heavy in just one go. Because here's the thing, regardless of how heavy you think you're going to go with it, there's still going to be areas that are going to need some spot leveling here and there. So why not just, you go with 1 cubic yard of material per 1,000 square feet, which is enough to do a quarter to half an inch of material over 1,000 square feet. And that's going to be just fine. The lawn's going to recover faster from that. And then you can do it again in a couple months if you need to. You know what I mean? That's my reasoning why I'm not a fan of beaching the lawn versus multiple top dressings. So that's me though. So hope that helps, Ben. I personally would not turn the lawn into a parking lot if you can, or into a beach if you can. I would refrain from doing that. Especially if you have any kind of slope. If you have any kind of slope or gradient, any kind of grade to your lawn, definitely don't do that, because if you get any rainfall, it's all going to end up at the bottom of the hill, and you're going to be shoveling wet sand back to where you want it to be. So especially if you have a slope, multiple top dressings is a better idea. Let's see here. Brian Hall says, at Timberski, we'll see the Lions as America's blue collar workers. All right. And then Matt says Xeon Zoysia. Yeah, Matt. So I forget your question earlier. Yeah. So here's the thing. So even Zoysia, which is arguably more shade tolerant than Bermuda, it still needs sunlight. So if you have enough shade to where even Zoysia is not doing well, you may have to move to like a fescue. That's like a fine fescue. That's more shade tolerant than Zoysia. So, or again, just don't grow grass there. Your options are cut the tree back so you get more sunlight, or switch to a different grass type, or don't grow grass. There's three: cut the tree back, different grass type, or just don't grow grass at all there. That's going to be your options. Let's see. I got you here. Next up we got Tavares Jones. He says, joined late in North Carolina with fescue. When would you recommend pre-emergent? I'd recommend it before the average 5-day soil temps in your area are in the mid 50s. So in the Southeast United States, you could do it now. Really up until mid-February, you're going to be ahead of the curve if you get your pre-emergent out. With you being in North Carolina, you've got a couple of weeks, whatever time in within this next couple of weeks coming up, it's going to work just fine for getting your pre-emergent out. And that is what I would say, Tavares. So hope that helps. Definitely, when it comes to pre-emergent, a bit early, better than a little bit late. So if you're not decided as yet, before mid-February, if you're trying to be ahead of the curve and get the best possible result, that is what I would tell you. All right. He says, yeah, I'll probably just mulch that spot. Yeah, I mean that's a thing too, because the thing is also, if you start introducing another grass like the fescue, it's going to look different than the zoysia. Just so there's a whole bunch of other things that come along with that. If you have to spray weeds in the zoysia, then you got to be really careful, because you can't use like the herbicide that you can spray on the zoysia, like Celsius certainty, like the good stuff for warm season turf. You really got to keep it away from the cool season grass. So you might be creating a bunch of headache for yourself if you decide to actually mix or introduce the fescue there, if you really got to have grass there. You know what I mean? All right. Timothy Gonzalez is up next. He says, I had a chunk of my yard shaded heavily by the neighbor's tree and planted turf top tall fescue there. Looked good the last 2 years. They just cut the tree down today. Woot woot. So what are you going to do, Timothy? Are you going to leave the fescue, or are you going to go to something else? Now that you got like direct sunlight now, are you going to switch it out or what? All right. Devin, he says, what's up, Ron? A few months till spring. Yeah, man, we're getting there. It's not too far off, right? The temperatures are moving in the right direction. So spring should be here not any minute now, but we're going in the right direction. How about that? Which is good. And glad to see you're doing well, sir. At some point, I keep saying this every time I see your name, we got to get you back on the live stream. You've been living your best life, man. You've been out traveling in the warm weather, climates, and all this kind of stuff. But whenever you get a chance, you're free. Let me know and we'll get you back on the show. So we have a super chat from Mr. LG in the house. What's going on, LG?
Super chat received.
He says, sorry I missed the live stream fun on a work trip in Charleston, South Carolina, and forced to hang out with coworkers. Oh, you have to be social? Oh, pish tosh. The horror. Shock, horror, agony, right? He says, have a great evening, golf course lawn squad. Well, hopefully hanging out with the coworkers isn't too bad, man. You guys can talk about work stuff, right? Work stuff, family, favorite football teams, this kind of stuff. You can tell them the story about how you won in the giveaway in December, but then you weren't here. You could tell them that. They'd probably get a kick out of it. I mean, you may not want to, but if you just want a cool story to tell, that would be a good one. Thank you for the super chat, sir. I do appreciate. Travel safe getting back home. All right. James Smith says, Era Green digital sprinkler system with a manual tool last year started on eco options, but you're not taking my power sprayer away yet. All right. JC says, I can't avoid it. I look like a Smurf every time spraying with the devil's blue juice. I don't know what you're doing. How are you getting dye all over? Even wearing gloves, you're getting dye all over yourself. I don't understand it. I don't understand how this happens. Matt Jackson is timing in on top dressing. He says, multiple top dressing is easier. Work is spread over months. I agree. And the lawn recovers faster from that. It bounces back faster. And then Colin says, yes, sod is greater than seed. I've done seed 4 different times in the back, and it never held up over time. There's one company that carries Seashore Pastoral and seed, but yes, mainly sod or stones is the only option. Okay. So it's kind of like St. Augustine in that route. It's really sod. There's not really a viable option of getting it other than sod. You are very welcome, Tavares. No worries at all. And next up is Michael Anger. He says, wife ordered the 1608 fertilizer and received it today. Wait a second. Your wife ordered you some Humic Max? Man, we're going to clap it up for her. That's pretty awesome. Wife buying lawn care stuff. Nice. Received it today. Can't wait to see the results when I use it this spring. First time using your products. Thanks, Ron. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, Michael. So keep me posted on how it works out for you. And again, appreciate all the love and support. And yeah, man, give the wifey a hug. She's buying you fertilizer. That's pretty sweet. That is pretty sweet. Let's see. Jared says, for Bermuda, do you recommend top dressing when it's peak summer and rain is less of a factor? I so the window when I like to start top dressing, Jared, is in late April, early May, because by then the Bermuda is pretty much fully woken up. It's starting to get warm and it's not quite as hot outside. So if you have a larger lawn, like top dressing when the temperatures are milder is nicer than doing it in the middle of summer. So I would say beginning in late April, early May, and then you could do another one in June, and you could do another one in like July, early August if you wanted to. So really, you could squeeze like 3 top dressings in a year in if you so desired. And the rain is actually a good thing, which is why I'm a big fan of doing a light top dressing, right? Because if you have rainfall and you do it the way that I recommend, which is like a quarter of an inch to half an inch, then you don't have a bunch of material built up so it gets washed all over the place. The rain actually helps it settle. So for that reason, the spring top dressing, late spring top dressings are a good thing in my opinion. But it's really up to you. If you want to wait till the summer to do it, that's fine. It's just going to be hotter. It's really your call. Really your call. All right, LG is saying LG celebrates 25 months of membership. Oh, I almost forgot. Sorry, Bills fans. Go Chiefs. You know what it is? Like Mahomes is Josh's kryptonite, it seems like. It just seems that way, man. Again, I'm not, I don't really care either way, but those two, I mean, it was either not last year, I think it was 2 years ago, where the Bills were up and then Mahomes had like a minute 30 or something. He marched all the way down the field and won the game. So again, granted, that's been done in other games too, right? But I mean, it just seems like whenever it comes down to it, the Chiefs just always seem to get the better of the Bills, which really just stinks. Someday it'll happen. The thing is, I'd really like to see. Well, I say this, I would be if they were in different divisions. It'd be really cool to see like Chiefs Bills in like the Super Bowl, but that's never really going to happen. And I guess we kind of know how it would work out, right? Because so far the Chiefs have got their number. So, all right, James says, calling it a night. See the crew next week. Ron, let the turf park event. Good. Let Lee know that the weekend of April 13th is good for you. Okay. I'll be down from RDU and North Carolina to Atlanta for a neuro apartment. Okay. Cool. I'll tell him. I'm not sure if he has a date planned as yet, but I will let him know. Actually, I don't know if that's a great weekend for me. I have to find out. I think that weekend, that might be the weekend of testing, of karate testing. I think. I have to look and see. I think so. Maybe. I'm not sure. All right. Next up is Paramarita. It says, I just bought a new house wanting to plant rye in the spring and kill it all off in the fall to plant turf type tall fescue. Okay. When should I kill off the broadleaf weeds? Whenever. You could do it. You could begin doing it now if you want to. I mean, you could do it a couple of weeks prior to you planting the rye grass seed. But it's just not a question. It's like a lot of work. You want to plant the rye grass seed in the springtime, and then when summer rolls around, I guess just try and keep it alive during the summer as best you can, and then kill it all off in the fall and do fescue. Why not just do fescue now? I guess why not? Because you're going to end up with that anyway. Because ryegrass doesn't do that well when it's really hot out. Like I'm not sure where in the country I don't know where in the country you are. You might be up north, in which case it might be okay. But rye with high temps doesn't do as well as say fescue does. So if you're gonna end up with fescue anyway, why not just do that? Just something to consider. Next up is Timothy. He says, gonna get that Bermuda to spread back to that area. No more doing cold and warm season apps. Yeah, that's the thing, man. It sounds like a cool idea, but then like your herbicide choices get limited if you're spraying growth regulator. Which rate do you use? Because they're different for warm and cool season grasses. Like it seems like a cool idea to mix cool, warm, and cool season grass until you actually have to live with it, right? And let's see. My wife looked over my shoulder and wants to know what LG stands for. LOL. You have to ask LG. It stands for. Stands for liquid granular. There you go. From his own mouth. You heard what he says. Let's see here. And then next up is LG Mahomes only needs 13 seconds. Is that what it was? It was something crazy like 13 seconds to win? Yeah. And I knew it was like they totally took the win out of their sails. Like they had the game won until they didn't. Kind of like Atlanta. Like, we had the game won against the Patriots until we didn't. Played like 3 great quarters, and then the wheels came off the bus, right? Fun fact, if you just go into Google and just type like 28-3, like there's actually a Wikipedia page. It says, oh, you must be wondering about the Atlanta Falcons, that colossal mess they made at the Super Bowl. So it's like a thing. We got our own Wikipedia page because of that Super Bowl disaster. All right, Archie says, Bills have been rebuilding since the 90s, and construction hasn't ceased. They had their chance to make a statement and didn't. If they were ever to be the best, it was that game. You're right, because they, everyone I think was healthy. Josh is playing good football. I mean, it's just tough, man. It's tough. It's tough. The Bills are just, didn't they go to 3 straight Super Bowls or something in the 90s and they lost all 3? I forget. I think that's the Bills, right? I think it was the 90s, maybe late 80s, early 90s. They went to 3, I think at least 2 or 3, maybe 3, but at least 2 in a row, and they lost all of them. But I don't. Yeah, I'm not a Bill. I don't follow them that closely, but I do remember when I was like a lot younger watching the Bills in the Super Bowl, and I remember they lost. So yeah, it was a while ago. But cool. Let's see here. In cooler weather, am I better off using a methylated seed oil instead of surfactant with Certainty Centipede Yard? I've never used an MSO with Certainty C. Angela. I would stick to surfactant. I would stick to to a spreader sticker. I would. You could try it, but I'd be a little bit leery. It's interesting. I'm not sure there's any guidance on the label about using an MSO with Certainty. I don't know. I've never done it, so I can't. I don't feel good about telling you, hey, go out and do that. I don't want you to chance something and give your lawn an ouchie. If you're just spot spraying, like if you're just spraying just the POA, then maybe less of a big deal. But if you're going to be like if you got POA all throughout your lawn, you're going to be blanket spraying the entire lawn, then yeah, I'd lean more towards a sticker versus using a methylated seed oil. All right, and Archie says, yes, they did. They lost 4 in a row. Ooh, ugh. Sorry, guys. Sorry, if you're a Buffalo fan. Sorry. So there you go. It's worse than like Atlanta. So whereas we lost 1 that we should have won, losing 4 in a row is that's just pretty bad. That would be a tough pill. That's got to be a record. Has anyone else done that? Gone to the Super Bowl 4 times and lost all 4 times? In a row. That's got to be a record of some sort, I would think. That's pretty savage. Well, guys, gals, the end of the poll. Let me end this real quick so we can see what heights folks are going to be mowing at. I didn't forget this time, which is good. And we are coming back with, let's see. So 74% of you are going with 0.75 inches, 16% as high as possible, and then we got 9% of you that just do not care. You are want to embrace the pain. You're saying under half an inch, baby. But you're that, you're that special group. Cool. So point under half an inch, 9%. Terrible. That's let me know how that works out for you though. Sounds like a lot of work. All right, and then so it was not 4 in a row. So it's 4 in a row, but not all 4 years consecutively. Okay. Doesn't the Bills have a frozen player issue? I don't know, man. They don't like win. It's like Atlanta. They don't like winning. They don't like losing bad enough. You know what I mean? It's funny. Like people that are really real, and we're almost towards the end of the live stream, so we can chat up a little bit. But people that really don't like losing, like I think about myself, right? Like I'm a pretty competitive person. Like every time I've ever won like my division in a martial arts tournament, whether it be like forms or sparring, like the feeling after winning wasn't like, yeah, I won. It was more like relief. You know what I mean? Because I'm just really competitive. I hate losing. So I think that's just what it is. Like at the Falcons, like there's no reason the Falcons should have lost that. And to lose 4 in a row, you just don't hate losing enough. Like losing is not distasteful for you enough that you would allow that to happen 4 times in a row. Like you just have to figure something out to make that not happen. You know what I mean? So yeah, for me, that's what it is. Like every time, I can't think of a single time when I've won a contest or won anything that I was in where I thought like when I won, I was like, yeah, this is the greatest thing ever. It's more of like just relief. Like, oh God, thank God that's over. So I don't have to worry about it again until I compete next time. You know what I mean? So maybe I'm broken that way, but that's how it is for me. Recruiter Grass says 4 is conservative. And then Adam says, have you ever heard of the green irrigation system? Is that the one that's a smart one? I don't know, Adam. I think it's the one that I've seen videos of it on Instagram where they are doing like the one where you can, how can I say, it's smart. It's like a smart sprinkler head where it can adjust the throw as it's sweeping. So if you have like a sidewalk or a driveway or something, like it can shorten how far it's throwing the water as it gets to that point. I think that's what you're talking about. I've seen it. I've never used one. I've never actually seen one. I've seen it on Instagram, which everything looks better on Instagram. I've never seen one in person. I don't know what is involved in setting one up. I imagine, I mean, you have to run plumbing to it, obviously, like water to it, and you probably have to run power and Ethernet or some kind of unless it's even if it's Wi-Fi enabled, it's got to have power somehow because it's not. I don't think there's solar. So yeah, it would be, in my case, it would be involved digging up the lawn. So that's a hard no. That's a hard no on that one. And you said yes, you have it. Cool. I guess you like it then. All right. Next up, we have Golf Castle. He says, "Hey Ron, I have a Dormer Bermuda Golf Green. What is the best pre-emergent to use on Ultra Dwarf Bermuda, and when would be the best time to apply? I was thinking of using prodiamine. Thanks, man." It's a good question. For Ultra Dwarf, I don't know if the rates here for prodiamine stand up for Ultra Dwarf. I don't see. You know what? I saw the label up here real quick. Let me see if there's any guidance here on that. Yeah, I don't see, there's dwarf periwinkle in here, but I'm trying to see if there's anything about Ultra Dwarf Bermuda grass. Yeah, it's just more of like weeds that it controls. Yeah, I don't see, it just says Bermuda. So what I would say, Golf Castle, is if you, just to be conservative, the best time to apply it, it's still the same. I mean, before the average soil temps are in the mid 50s. So for me, in my case, like high 40s, trending warmer. And, stay away. I would say, just to be conservative, stay away from the higher end. So like maybe go out at like 0.4 ounces per 1,000 square feet versus like the higher end of the application rate, just to be safe. So that in that case, that would have you doing an app of prodiamine like whenever, like now, February-ish timeframe, and you could do another one in April-ish or so if you want to as well too. That's gonna be a more conservative approach to it. I don't see any special guidance here on the label, like speaking about Ultra Dwarf, but just to be ultra conservative, I would say let's just take the annual limit, just cut it in half, and that should produce a good result for you. So yeah. Good, great question. And again, if you are looking for prodiamine, we carry it on the golf course lawn store. If you go to shop and then weed killer and then filter by prodiamine, you will find your options here. You got it in granular, you got it in the water dispersible granule, the liquid form. So it just depends on which way you want to go. For what you're doing on your green, I would lean towards one of these. This is probably enough for a green, but if you have a bigger property, then maybe the larger one. So it really just depends on how much you're trying to take care of. And I will put a link for that in the chat for you, so you are covered, Golf Castle. And again, there's no guidance that says you have to do anything special for Ultra Dwarf, but just to be safe, let's just be conservative the first time around, just to see how it does. All right, cool. And then James says Irrigine is the smart one. I've been looking at cable from the heads to the controller, thin Wi-Fi. Okay, cool. Yeah, man, it could be an option. Give it a shot and see how it works out for you. Well, guys, gals, again, sorry for the connection snafu earlier, introduced by yours truly. So I'll definitely be posting this one live as well too. You also be able to pull it up. Again, apologies for that. I will do better in the future. Thank you guys so much for coming to hang out with me on a Wednesday night. I know it's on our normal night, but next week we'll be back to our normally scheduled time, which is Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. So again, thank you guys for putting up with me. I really do appreciate it. Be safe out there. Have fun. You spray pre-emergent. Wear your PPE so you don't get like blue hands and fingers and whatnot. Take care, and I will see you guys next week.